If you're new to real estate investing, well, wholesaling will be your fastest way to earn money in this industry without using any of your own money, and you don't even need credit to do it either. It's amazing. And guess what? In this video, guys, I'm gonna give you a step-by-step breakdown of what a wholesale deal looks like from start to finish, so stay tuned. And if you guys don't know who I am, well, hello, I'm Jeremy Beland. I am an expert at acquiring off-market properties. Matter of fact, since I started my journey back in 2017, I have over 450 plus off-market, successful off-market transactions to my name. You know, I've built 3 different 7-figure markets, and I have done over $10 million in gross assignments and profits since I started my journey in 2017. As you guys can see, I'm not very articulate. I am not a master content creator. I am not a master YouTuber. I am just a lifestyle investor. Guys, I'm just who I am. I'm not pretending to be anybody else. You can see me stumbling through my words. You guys probably don't even know how many takes it takes just to get this right for me. But that's it, guys. I am really, what I preach to you is exactly what I do in my house, in my business every day. I've had success and not success in multiple markets. We had a lot of great success in our Western New York market up in Buffalo and Rochester, New York. Here in New Hampshire, where I live, New Hampshire, Massachusetts has been our main market, our primary market since we started our journey. We still buy and sell properties here on the regular. We've had a great success down in Southern Florida, where we own an Airbnb and we flipped some houses down there and wholesaled a bunch of houses down there as well. I was in Wichita, Kansas for a while, made some great friends, had some moderate success, but eventually had to pull out of there. And then I went to Las Vegas, Nevada. I did 1 wholesale deal there, spent a lot of money doing it. Wasn't the market for me. I didn't have the great team there that I hoped to have. It just didn't work out for various reasons. But that's it, guys. I am here to show you what I know from my experience and what I've been taught by from other coaches, okay? So today is going to be a step-by-step breakdown of what a wholesale deal looks like. So what exactly is wholesaling? Many of you guys want to know, what is wholesaling? Well, wholesaling is the art of finding off-market properties, off-market discounted properties to be more specific. And really all it is when you get a property that is under contract with a purchase and sales agreement, right? You're going to go to 123 Main Street, put this house under contract with a purchase and sales agreement way below market value, and then you are going to assign the rights of that assignable contract, because you can assign the rights to that purchase sales agreement to another investor, which we call a cash buyer in this business. We assign the rights over that purchase sales contract via assignment contract, and we get paid an assignment fee for sending it over. And that's all we do. So I'm gonna even make it even more simple than this, all right? Let's just say the owner of 123 Main Street says, hey, I'm facing foreclosure, my house needs a lot of work, I don't have time to throw it on the market, I need to sell it quickly. You go there, you work out a deal that, let's just say the after repair value, the ARV of this property is $200,000. You go and negotiate the as-is price of $100,000, okay? So you go and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm gonna put this property under contract for $100,000. And then you're gonna market it out to your cash buyers. Hopefully you have a huge cash buyers list, because the more cash buyers you have, the more money you make in this business. I promise you that. And then you take that 123 Main Street purchase and sales agreement, right? It's going to say Jeremy buys houses and or assigns. That means I can assign it. You got to make sure it says and or assigns on it, right? So Jeremy buys houses and or assigns. Now I'm going to market that contract out to my buyers, not the house. I'm not selling the house. I'm selling the contract. Brokers and realtors sell houses. Wholesalers sell contracts. So make sure when you are marketing your material out there to stay compliant and legal, you are assigning the rights to your contract. You are looking to find a buyer for your contract, right? So you take your contract to 123 Main Street, you go market it to your buyers. Your buyers say, hey, I want that house. I want to buy it for a rental. I want to buy it for a flip, right? You take the highest and best offer out of your cash buyers. Let's just say somebody says, I'm willing to pay you $120,000 for that. And they're going to pay for all the closing costs, which is what your contract says to the seller. So the seller is getting $100,000 flat. That's it. They're not paying any closing costs. They're not doing anything else. No commissions, nothing. They get $100,000. Now your cash buyer is saying, I'm willing to pay $120,000 and still pay for all those closing costs, right? So now you have the contract for 100, cash buyer has it for 120. you are going to assign the rights of that $100,000 purchase and sales agreement to the cash buyer for $120,000 via an assignment contract. Again, signing the rights of that purchase sales agreement to the cash buyer, so the cash buyer can now execute the rights of that purchase sales agreement and close on the property. And then that assignment is going to have an assignment fee, the $20,000 difference, right? The spread between the $100,000 and the $120,000, that $20,000 is yours. That's an assignment fee. That's wholesaling broken down very simply. And that's how we make all of our money in this industry. We go out and market and we find distressed sellers, not necessarily distressed houses, but distressed sellers and distressed situations. And then we get them under contract for a very low price. We assign those contracts to a cash buyer or cash buyers. And we do that via an assignment contract, and we get paid via an assignment fee. This is all done at closing. No money ever exchanges hands. No contracts really ever exchange hands other than the signing. Then everything's sent to the title company or your closing attorney. They handle everything. You get a check when the house closes. So the seller gets their $100,000, the buyer gets their property, and you get your 20 grand. How sweet is that? You know how much it costs you to do this? Pretty much zero. You may have had to put down a $10 earnest money deposit. $100 like I do in my business may cost you a little bit of money for marketing, but you've just made $20,000 and you basically pulled it out of thin air. That's wicked exciting. I love wholesaling. It's how I started in this industry. I still wholesale a lot of houses today, even though I'm now a cash buyer and I flip, I wholesale, I do novations, I do creative financing, I buy and hold rental properties. I still wholesale deals all the time because it's fast, easy money. It's like printing money out of an ATM. It's amazing. But there are some misconceptions about wholesaling out there, right? Everybody, especially if you don't know what it is wholesaling legal? Well, yeah, of course it's legal, as long as you do it right. Now, in some states, like South Carolina now, you're not allowed to market contracts or properties. You can't do any of that unless you're a broker or a realtor. So technically, in South Carolina, wholesaling is illegal. Only way you can really do deals down there now is you actually have to physically buy the property and immediately sell it. But you can't even put the property under contract and market it to sell until you actually close on it. It's crazy. So South Carolina, sorry guys, get out of there unless you're really ready to do some business where you actually going to be using other people's money to close on houses. But you can't do money wholesale in South Carolina. But all the surrounding states, you can. And then there's other states that require you to have a real estate license. And if they do, I would just get it. All right. At the end of the day, for whatever regulatory reasons they want you to have a real estate license, there's only a small handful of states in the country that do that. Most of the states don't require it. And as long as you are following the guidelines and the regulations of your specific state, you're going to be fine. There's no issues about wholesaling. You're not doing anything illegal because as long as you're transparent to the seller, hey, I'm putting this house under contract and I'm going to sell this contract to somebody else and I'm going to make some money. There's nothing to really worry about. And I know it's kind of scary to say that in the beginning when you get started, but trust me, honesty and transparency wins all the time. A lot of times when you're working with these sellers, they have problems and you're just trying to solve their problems. And if you're solving their problems, they don't care who you're selling the property to. They don't care how much money you're making. They don't care about any of that. They just want to make sure that you can solve the problems, get the deal done. That's really all they care about, truly. Like 99% of the time, that's all they care about. But one of the reasons why wholesaling is becoming illegal, and and this is something I'm very passionate about, so I'm going to speak to you guys about it now. So this is something you don't want to do, okay? You want to be very honest and transparent to the seller. And what we see now in recent years, since the boom of social media and, virtual wholesaling and wholesaling in general, a lot of people who don't have a lot of experience because they don't know what they're doing, they don't want to pay for mentorship, they don't want to pay for coaching, they don't want to pay, do any guidance. They just look at some YouTube videos like this one and say, I'm going to start doing it. And I love people take massive perfect action. But you're dealing with people's livelihoods. So you have to be respectful and understanding that if you're promising something you can't deliver, you may really mess people's lives up, right? So what does that mean exactly? Well, what happens is sometimes wholesalers put a property under contract in an area that they may not do a lot of business in, or they really don't know what they're doing. They promise the seller, hey, I'm going to get this deal done. We're going to close in 30 days. The seller is under the pressure that this house is going to be, and their problems are going to be solved in 30 days. The house is going to be sold in 30 days. Then the wholesaler starts scrambling to find buyers and can't find any buyers because they don't really have a system set up yet, right? You should always have a big, strong buyers list first. You don't want to go get the deal, then the buyers. Build your buyers list, get the deal, market it to all the buyers. That's how you make the most money. If anybody tells you differently, I promise you they're wrong, because every time you go to get a deal and then search for buyers, you become a motivated seller, just like the person you got the contract from, and you will be selling that contract at a discount. Anyway, discussion for a different day. So what they do is they lock up the property for 30 days. Struggle to find any buyers. Meanwhile, they're not communicating any of these issues with the seller, and then there's no communication. Seller just thinks the contracts, and the title company may or may not even be with the title company or a closing attorney, right? The wholesaler still may be sitting on it because he doesn't want to spend the $100, $500 for an EMD until he gets it assigned, because he's afraid of losing that money. Right? So he's holding up a contract. The seller, meanwhile, thinks, hey, we're going to be out of this house in 30 days. This is great. This is going to prevent us from foreclosure. Let's start packing up our house and start getting ready to move, right? And this people may have a family, right? And then all of a sudden, closing day comes and goes, and there's no communication. The seller's just like, what happens? They start trying to call the wholesaler. Wholesaler blocks their number, ghosts them, doesn't respond to them, nothing, because the wholesaler couldn't perform and couldn't find an end buyer and left that family freaking screwed and messes up their lives, which is just unethical in all the ways, right? Don't be that person, right? There's going to be a lot of deals that you get under contract that you can't find a buyer for. That even happens to me sometimes. Even with all my years of experience and success, it still happens. It happens to all of us, and it's okay. So what I would strongly suggest to you is, if you can't find a buyer within 10 to 15 days of getting that contract signed with the seller, then you tell the seller, I'm sorry, I can't move forward with this contract. We either cancel it because I can't find a buyer at this number, or we need to do a reduction because I will have somebody that can buy it, but it needs to be, $10,000 less, $20,000 less, $30,000 less, right? Let the seller decide. Do they want to cancel the contract? Or do they want to go with reduce and go with a reduction for the contract to get the deal done? Let them decide. At the end of the day, if you can't get the deal done, you're at least allowing them other options to explore, so they don't go down with the ship because you couldn't perform, right? Do you want to be that type of person who gets a house under contract and they got 3 young kids and they're facing foreclosure because the dad got hurt at work and he's been out of work and now they can't afford to make their payments, right? And you're going to make them homeless because you couldn't find a cash buyer, but you didn't have the respect or kindness to tell them? Don't be that person. That is the main reason why you see all these changes and laws coming with wholesaling, is because of those reasons. People doing stuff like that. That's the only reason why there's any regulations on it at all. So outside of South Carolina, where it being illegal, and sometimes you needing, real estate license to wholesale, there's really nothing to worry about. As long as you don't do what I just told you to do, as long as you're ethical and honest and transparent and do your best, and at the end of the day you can't perform, you're honest and transparent to the seller and say, hey, I can't perform, that is the right thing to do. Cancel the contract, move on. And if you have to swallow a $100, $500 EMD, sorry guys, it's the cost of doing business sometimes. The reason why it's like the best entry-level way to get started in real estate is because you need little to no money, right? So when I started back in 2017, I started my first marketing campaign. I did direct mailing back in January 2017. I actually joined a coaching program at the end of 2016. And, I actually sold my townhouse, because I didn't have much money at the time. I made $17,000 of equity on that house, moved my kids I was a divorced single dad with 2 kids at the time. Now I'm married with a blended family of 5. But at that time, I had to move me and my 2 kids into a small, crappy little 2-bedroom apartment in not such a nice area. But I took that $17,000 and I spent $5,000 to invest into a coaching program. And then I spent $6,000 of that 17 for my initial marketing spend. So I set up my LLCs with it. I got my contracts from my attorneys written up, and it was my initial, direct mail campaign, which a lot of it went to absentee equity owners at the time. And that coaching program was great. It taught me everything I needed to know. It was a step-by-step process, which was amazing, because as much as I thought I knew about wholesaling at the time, going through the process, I was like, whoa, there's a lot more to this than I realized. And then this got me my first deal within 90 days, which I made $5,000 for. I remember going through that program being like, man, it would have taken me like 6 months to figure this out. And in that 6 months, you know, I made $25,000, $30,000 rather than waiting 6 months to do my first deal. So it was great. But the reason why I started wholesaling was because I wanted to be a real estate investor, just like you, right? You probably want to own rental properties. You probably want to have multiple apartments and doors, right? And live off of the passive income. First of all, it's never ever passive, but it's passive enough where it's great, right? So owning property is amazing. It's how the rich get rich, right? There's equity in it. We want to own these properties, long-term wealth, cash flow, all of it, right? And I also wanted to flip houses. I love the thought of flipping houses. I'm really, you know, I love the HGTV shows, right? I've been watching them for years. I always just love taking an old house and renovating into something new. But at that time, I was like, well, I don't have any money to buy a house to flip it. I don't have any money to buy a rental. Hell, I didn't even know what house hacking was then. If you don't know what house hacking is, look it up. You can also find it in my YouTube channels about other things about house hacking. Great model to come in, but I didn't know about any of that stuff, right? And I also didn't know that you could use other people's money to buy properties, which is great. Again, watch other videos in my YouTube library about why private money is amazing, game changer. Now, I never use any of my own money, ever. I always use other people's money to make my own money in this business, but that is a little bit more for the experienced person. So when I got started, I didn't know that, you know, I didn't have any money for buy rental properties, didn't have any money to buy flips. So I thought, well, if I can get into wholesaling and learn how to acquire off-market properties at the lowest entry level, and I get really good at that, then eventually I'll start getting all that cash. And then as I start to learn this business, I can start to keep properties as flips and make big chunks of change. Or I can buy some rental properties along the way, keep them for myself, and start to build a portfolio. Both of those things happened, but only happened because I got really good at finding off-market properties. So that's why I love wholesaling. Wholesaling forces you to get really good at the art of finding off-market discounted properties. And once you learn that skill set, I promise you, you will never be broke again the rest of your life. Once you master that skill set, you can go anywhere in this country and start pulling deals out of nowhere and making big chunks of cash. It's an amazing skill set. A lot of people wish they knew, and a lot of people do know, but on this big scheme of things, we're talking 1% to 5% of the population at best, probably 1% of 1% of the population at best knows how to find off-market discounted properties. And there's so many properties out there, right? So once you master that skill set, then you can start building a machine of deals that come in every single month into your business. And then, I don't want this one, I'm gonna wholesale this one. I'm gonna wholesale this one. Oh, I'm gonna take this down and turn it into a wholesale because it doesn't need much work. Oh, let's take this flip. We can have this, it's not a lot of work. We can make big money. Oh, this flip's too big. Let's wholesale to somebody else. This makes a great rental property. Let's keep it, right? But it all starts learning the part of acquiring off-market deals. So wholesaling, when you get started at first, you can learn this skill set, master this skill set from education, repetition, trial and error, over and over and over and over again to become really good at it. Just like anything else, right? It takes a lot of practice. Once you get really good at that and you're able to sell these contracts for top dollars, I'm not talking like $5,000, I'm talking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000. Yes, you can do $100,000 assignments in this business. And what if you could do 6 deals a year and it costs you $15,000 to generate those 6 deals out of marketing, but you were able to make $120,000 to $150,000 out of that? Would that change your life? And that's only 6 deals a year, man. You could do a lot more than that, which is just amazing. So wholesaling, in my opinion, and I'm very passionate about this, is the best way to get started in this business because it forces you to learn the art of finding off-market discounted properties. And once you do that, you can paint the path of real estate investing riches any way you want because you know how to get the properties. That's the hardest part. Selling them, that's the easy part. All right, Jeremy. Awesome, I'm sold. I want to get started with wholesaling, but how do I find these properties? Well, that's a great question. So let's go over some free resources. Again, I have other episodes in my YouTube channel. If you can watch, I deep dive into this a lot more, but I'll go over it at a very high level, the 50,000 foot level. So free resources, right? Driving for Dollars is a fancy one. honestly, I'm not a big fan of driving for dollars. You know, because a house looks distressed on the outside, doesn't mean the seller is motivated to sell the house at a discount. Sometimes a lot of the distress is behind the house, meaning the house could look decent, but the distress is inside the house because maybe, you know, they lost a job, they're facing foreclosure, you know, there's health issues, they inherited a house that they don't want and they live out of state, there's bad tenants. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios, but they say never judge a book by a cover. Never judge a house by its cover too, because a nice house may be the one that's the best deal. An ugly house that needs a lot of work may not have any money or equity in it at all. You'd just be surprised. So driving for dollars is okay. You can go around and find some distressed houses and reach out to them. You may have some success. I like driving for dollars when you're out and about. Taking down these addresses and adding them to your list is a great way. I would not go around and just spend a whole day on a Saturday just driving through neighborhoods. I've tested this at a high level in multiple markets and the ROI just hasn't been that great. So, but driving for dollars is just, it's a common one that people like to do because it's free and easy. But there's other free and easy ones that are really good too. So if you go down, and this is my favorite, local government lists, right? So in your county or towns that you're going to want to be doing business in, go to the local tax collector and get a list of all the properties that are behind on taxes, right? Your tax delinquency list. And then you take those lists and you start to scrape them, which means organize them and filter them out. And you want only the properties that owe 2 years of taxes or more. So if they only owe 1 year, they're only behind 1 year of taxes, get rid of them. You don't want them. 2 years or more, those are the ones you want to keep. So you go to your local tax collectors and all the different towns, zip codes, counties, whatever. Get those lists, go through them, make sure you check the tax card, however you have to do it, and then just the properties that have 2 years or more in taxes, those are the ones you want. And then you can also get, a lot of states have like code violations, right? So if you go to your code enforcement office and get a list of all the open code violations, that is another great list that you can get for free to market to. And I'll tell you how to market to that in a second. A lot of times you can get the water shutoff list from the water department in certain areas, and that'll tell you which properties are not paying for their water and sewer. It's usually a sign of distress, or they may be vacant and condemned. That may be a good way to find some of those houses as well. And then you can go to the courthouses, and there's two different types of lists I like to get at the courthouse. One is your eviction list. So if you go to the circuit court where the evictions happen, and every courthouse is a little bit different, but if you talk to somebody there, how do I get a list of the evictions that happen every month? Pull that list, right? What better motivation than catching a landlord who had just went through an awful eviction, is just fed up with how much money he's going to have to spend turning over this property because a tenant hasn't paid in 6 months and he just spent $15,000, or is going to have to spend $15,000 in repairs. That happened to me last year in New York. It's not a great feeling. If somebody said, I want to buy that property, I probably would have sold it. So it happens all the time. That's a great way to catch somebody super motivated. And then at the family court, that's a way to find probate properties, right? So ask them, what is a good way to pull a list of all the probates that have happened, right? So now you got the probate list, the eviction list, your water shutoff list, your code violations list, and your tax delinquent list. And sometimes even in the towns, they may even have a list of vacant properties, and you can get that as well. So you have all these lists. Awesome. Now, here are some free to cheap ways to get in touch with those people. And it's a numbers game. You have to reach out to thousands of properties before you get that one deal closed, all right? Thousands, not hundreds, not tens, not 20s, thousands. It's a lot of work. It's a simple business, but it's not easy. It's hard work, like anything else. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to reach out to 5,000 properties before you make $30,000. Is it okay that you have to contact 5,000 properties before you make $30,000, right? How long is it gonna take you to make $30,000 now? And how much work do you have to do that, right? So again, not easy, simple, but not easy. So you take those lists and you can skip trace them, and then you can use like a triple dialer cold calling system, or just your cell phone, and just cold call them all, right? Hi, I'm looking to speak with Jane. Hi, Jane. I believe you might be the owner of 123 Main Street in Yorktown, New Hampshire. Yeah, I'm sorry this call is completely out of the blue, but I was curious. Do you have any interest on a fair as-is cash offer on your property? Right? That's a cold call. You can send out text messages, right? SMS, text messages Text messaging is a little more complicated these days due to the regulations, and you have to change your numbers a lot because they get spammed. But if you keep your messages pretty generic, like, hi, I'm looking to buy a house in your area. Do you know anybody who's interested? That kind of deal, you may be able to get a lot of those through. Another one I really like that's super cheap and works really well is ringless voicemail. So basically what that does is that once you skip trace that list and put it into a thing like Sly Broadcast, which is a ringless voicemail software, for pennies on the dollar, you can send out messages to everybody's cell phone. Right? So all of a sudden their phone has a voicemail. They never heard it ring, right? Ringless voicemail. They listen to it and it says, hi, this is Jeremy. I'm a local home buyer looking to buy a property in your area. I was just curious if you had any interest on an as-is cash offer on your house, or if you knew anybody else in your area that might be. If there's any interest or you know anybody who may, could you please give me a call or text me back at this number, blah, 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 right? More or less just what it says. That's it. So there's ringless voicemail, text messaging, and cold calling. And then if you don't have money to do that, well, start driving around. Instead of driving for dollars, drive to knock on doors. Because you have the list, knocking on every door, and just be like, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm so sorry for stopping by your property unexpectedly. My name is Jeremy. I'm a local house buyer. I'm looking to buy a property in this neighborhood. I'm just kind of going door to door. I was just curious if you knew anybody in the area that may or may not be interested in selling their house. I didn't ask them if they were interested in selling the house. I asked them if they knew of anybody else in the area that may or may not be interested in selling the house, right? Because I'm a local buyer trying to buy a house in this area. Now, if they have interest because they're facing foreclosure in a month, well, matter of fact, Jeremy, I am interested in selling my house. Tell me a little bit more about this, right? And then that's how it goes. So those are some great techniques. Now, what about if you have money? Right? You have money and you want to get paid, find ways to get better leads and handle all this stuff. Well, you can pull leads off of PropStream, ListSource, PropWire, and they will, Deal Machine, right? Deal Machine is great. You can pull lists of tax delinquent, vacant, pre-foreclosure, absentee owners, tired landlords. There's a whole bunch in there. You can pull those lists and you can still put them through the same methods we just talked about, text messaging, cold call, ringless voicemails, which are great for newbies, by the way, right? Until you get really good at talking to sellers in person and over the phone, you start to close multiple deals. Those are the methods that I recommend. One of the other ones I would recommend to go with that, because it's called cold outreach, is direct mail. Now, mailing is a little more expensive. It's a little slower. Some markets it works great. Some it's not so great, but it's been one of my best marketing channels over the 9 years I've been in business. But as of right now, it's pretty slow, but it does work. I have some students in our coaching program that are crushing it off letters and some that are just doing nothing off letters. So it's kind of hit and miss, but it's low cost, relatively speaking, when it comes to marketing. And you just send out a letter. Hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm looking to buy a property in your area. Do you have any interest on an as-is cash offer with no inspections, no contingencies for your property listed at blah, blah, blah? If so, call, text me back at this number, right? Super simple. So you could direct mail that from either the government list, which I love, or pulling the list off of PropWire, PropStream, ListSource, Deal Machine. There's a handful of other ones out there too, right? So those are some ways you could do that. But there's also other marketing channels. Again, check back to my other YouTube channels when I deep dive the different marketing channels. But, you know, PPL, pay per lead, there's some good companies out there like Property Leads, Motivated Leads, Need to Sell My Home Fast, iSpeed to Lead. There's a few other ones out there that you can actually pay and they will provide you leads per lead. It may cost you $30 a lead to $300 a lead, depending on where you want to go. There's pay-per-click, right? So rather than paying another company for leads, you can set up your own pay-per-click campaign on Google in your area or Bing. That's more expensive, highly converted, great leads, but I only recommend that for people who have already started to do some deals and have some experience. SEO, search engine optimization, right? So again, like pay-per-click, if somebody's going on, you know, Google and saying, I need to sell my home fast in this town, America, you know, there's going to be the pay-per-click ads that come up at the top. Then below that become the organic search, which are the local ones that show up high in the SEO. SEO is a long game. You can get started with it right away. You're probably not going to see any results for many months, if not multiple months, if not years down the road. But long game, it's the way to go. SEO is my highest ROI marketing channel in all of my businesses, but it takes a long time to get there. That's just the result of it. And then, you know, there's like TV ads, radio ads, things like that. But again, those cost a lot of money. Don't recommend them for somebody new like you if you're watching this. direct mail, SMS, text messaging, ringless voicemail, cold calling, door knocking. And another one that I would recommend is Lead Mining Pros. Tell Nick I sent you, and they're pretty good. They do cold calling, text messaging for you on lists, and they'll pull the list, skip trace it, and do all that. And then they can send the leads to you to do your thing every day they come in. Okay, so now you have some leads that come in. What do? Well, you got to take those leads and convert them to appointments, right? So one way is obviously the outgoing call, right? Hey, I'm sorry this call is out of the blue, right? And if there's motivation and equity, those are really the two criteria I'm looking for. Meaning, if the house is worth $300,000, but they only owe $150,000, I don't even care if they want close to $300,000. But if there's a $150,000 loan on the house and they owe $300,000, I'm going on the appointment, especially if there's motivation, right? Now, if they're just looking for top dollar, like here's this scenario. I just completely renovated my house. It's in great shape. It's immaculate. We've just spent $100,000 making it look brand new again, and I'm looking to sell it. Well, I'm probably not the right fit. You should call a realtor because I'm an investor. I need to buy properties at a discount and make money, right? So not a fit. But the motivation is, hey, we're looking to downsize. I inherited the property from a family member. I don't really want it. My husband and I have lived in this house a long time. It needs a lot of work. We don't have the resources or time or energy to maintain it anymore, put it into it. I have 5 billion car tires in the backyard and I don't want to remove them. Can you just buy the house with them in it? There's all these scenarios. I'm facing foreclosure, tax delinquency, whatever the case is, right? That's the motivation. So you have motivation and equity. If there's motivation and equity, go on the appointment. And then you just go on the appointment and you really want to make it less about the numbers, right? So we don't want to deep dive what the house is after repair value is, how much work it needs, right? So there's this thing called the maximal allowable offer. I hate that, right? Typically all we want to do is get a house that's under contract for 50 to 60% of the ARV. Keep it super simple, not 70% of the ARV minus rehab numbers, minus an assignment contract. Oh God, it's so antiquated. First of all, everybody, you don't even know how much repairs are. And even if you do, doesn't mean cash buy 1, 2, 3 to 50 are going to have different prices all over the page, right? They may have their own people that they pay internally. They may subcontract it out. They may do the work themselves. They may flip 2 houses a year. They may flip 200 houses a year. They may do the cheapest ass stuff you could imagine in a house. Some people may want to tear down walls and build additions and everything else. So don't get bothered down by that. Spend your effort finding off-market deals, not an expert at what rehab numbers are. So anyway, 50, 60% of the ARV, right? So you go there, you find with the seller, and I'm not going to deep dive how our system is, building rapport and being a problem solver. But at the end of the day, that's what you're there to do, right? So when it comes to wholesaling, we're a marketing company first. We're going to set up marketing channels to generate leads to find people who want to sell their properties below market value. But most of those people who have want to sell the house at below market value have a problem that we need to solve. That's our service. So we're a marketing company to generate leads first. Second, our service is to provide a tailored, customized solution to their problem, whatever it is. They need to just speed and convenience. They want to sell it quick. They want to sell it with their non-paying jerk tenants in place. They want to sell it with no roof. They want to sell it vacant. They want to sell it on fire. They want to sell it flooded with 6 feet of water. Whatever it is, that's their problem. You're going to solve it. And then in exchange, they pay you with equity in their home, right? So your job is to try to get it as close to 50, 60% of the ARV as possible. That's a pretty safe place to be, regardless of what the repairs are, right? And then you take that equity and you're going to, wholesale it to cash buyers, and you're going to get a piece of that equity in an assignment fee. So that's really all we're trying to do, is just try to assign the rights and take some of that equity out by solving people's problems after we market to them, right? Pretty simple, pretty basic. So at that point, you're a problem solver. You put the deal in a contract. You let them know that you're going to have some cash buyers coming in, and then you're going to start having the cash buyers look at the property to make an offer on it. What I suggest is do a one-time walkthrough. Don't have buyers come through multiple times. It's not what a seller wants typically, and it'll just make your life a lot easier, and it's going to make you more money. So what I would suggest is we're going to have a one-time showing for 1 hour during this day, during this time, and you tell all the cash buyers who have interest in this property, this is their one and only time to come view the house and do their own due diligence, whether they need to bring contractors, business partners, money lenders, I don't care, spouses, this is your time. There'll be no other chances to get into this property at all. And this makes it easier for the seller knowing there's only going to be a one-time showing to come in and do your thing, and then it's done. And then you should, by the end of next business day, get all the offers. I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. So you can determine, can you move forward with an offer because you have a cash buyer willing to move forward, or do you need to cancel the contract, right? So we try to do this within 7 to 10 days of after signing the contract. So sign the contract, you're going to set up an inspection walkthrough for all the buyers 7 to 10 days out. And now you have to market it to your buyers. I talked to you about having a big buyers list. Again, check other YouTube episodes on my YouTube channel about how to build your buyers list. Super important. I honestly believe that you should have a minimum, yes, minimum of 150 cash buyers in any market you're going to do business in. If you're going to be virtual and you want to pick 6 different markets, you should have 150 buyers in each of those markets. And it's a lot of work to pull up 150 buyers, but that's just to get started. I don't want you to think, oh, I got 150 buyers, I'm done. No, I want you thinking 1,500. I want you thinking 15,000, right? So forever, you're always going to continue to add to your buyers list. This is a task that never ends. Keep building to your buyers list. Here's why. 80-20 rule applies here. 20% of the buyers are going to buy 80% of your properties. So if you have 150 cash buyers, only 30 of them, 20%, right? 30 of them are going to actually be cash buyers that you work with. The other ones are probably just, they'll buy the other 20% every now and then, but you can't depend on them. But if you have 300 buyers on your buyers list, now you have 60 good cash performing buyers, right? If you have 900, right? Now you have 90, right? Or whatever. I'm losing track of my math here, but you get the point, right? So if you have like 1,500 cash buyers, you literally have 300 great performing cash buyers. That's so important. And the more cash buyers you have, the more deals you will close and the more money you will make per deal, right? So when you do that inspection walkthrough, do you just want 1 or 3 buyers coming through that property? Or do you want like 30 buyers coming through that property? And if 1 or 3 buyers has to make a bid to get that deal, right? Because you want them to bid on your contract. It's like an auction, right? We're starting the bids at $105,000. Who's in? 107, 110, 115, $150,000, right? I mean, there's people that do that crazy stuff, but that's the scenario we want to create with our contracts, right? That's how I average $35,000 a contract for 7 straight years for my wholesales. $35,000 a deal on average for 7 straight years by doing that. So what we want to do is just make sure that we bid it out and get as many cash buyers there as possible. That will bring your assignment fee from $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 to $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. That's how you get those big spreads, right? Now you don't have to do as many deals because you're doing bigger deals, right? Do you want to do 10 deals at $5,000 or do you want to do 2 at $25,000 each, right? One's a lot less work than the other. All right. Plus, you're also going to get all these situations where you get these weird houses that are maybe outlying areas, really unique house. Maybe it's pink with round glass balls all over it or something. Just really something really weird and unique. But the seller's super distressed and they're super motivated to sell the house at a discount. It's a really great lead, but it's a really unique house that most people aren't going to want to do anything with, right? I don't want to touch that house. I'm afraid if I touch it, I can't resell it. Or if I keep it as a rental, it's not anything that I want, right? Because cash buyers are particular on what they want. But if you have a large cash buyers list, then you may at least find one person out of your 1,500 or 150 that will take that pink house with the round glass balls all over it, right? So that's how we don't lose some deals, right? So we minimize cancellations by having more cash buyers and we get bigger spreads by having more cash buyers. So best way to find cash buyers, all your local meetups, right? Your local real estate investing meetups through your RIAs or just local meetups. Go there. Hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm a local wholesale. I'm looking to build my cash buyers list. Who wants to be on my cash buyers list? I'm going to get your cell phone number to text you and an email to email you. So every time I get a property, I'm going to send you the information on the property. You can let me know if you want to attend one of my inspection walkthroughs. So we're going to do that. We're going to go on Facebook, all the Facebook groups local to that market, and we're going to post an ad. Hey, I'm a wholesaler looking to build my cash buyers list. Who wants in, right? But you can also scrape that Facebook group in the search engine bar, buy cash buyers, buyers list, things like that, and just start scrolling through. And then on everybody who left their email address in there, comment on it. Hey, I'm a wholesaler looking to add to my buyers list. I just sent you a message. Send them a message. Hey, I saw you added your information to another person's post. I wanted to see if you had any interest in being on my buyers list. I didn't want to just add you without your permission, right? And then they say yes, and then you get their cell phone number, their name, and their email address. So you can do that, right? Realtors have a lot of cash buying investors that are their clients. So reach out to as many realtors as you can. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor. I'm a local investor here, and I get properties way below market value that are off market. And a lot of times I resell these to other investors. By any chance, do you have any clients that are looking for some projects, or that are investors looking for projects, or maybe some more rental properties to keep? Because if you do, I'd love to show you these properties so you can pass them along to your clients. How does that sound, right? Some of them are going to say yes, many of them won't, right? But that's another way to build it. And then Craigslist, good old fashioned Craigslist, go on there, post an ad on Craigslist. Hey, I'm looking to I'm an investor. I find deeply discounted off-market properties. If you have any interest in buying any of these off of me, please respond to this thing, right? And there's a few more. If you check my YouTube video, we'll get deeper into that. But that is a great way to build your buyers list. Again, the goal is to get to 150 as fast as possible. And now you have the contract. You have built a buyers list of 150 people. You've sent them all into your inspection walkthrough. You tell every single buyer, I need your highest and best offer by the end of the next business day. By the end of the next business day, you take all those offers, you take the highest and best one, and then you say, hey, here's the deal. You can't get into this property anymore. You're buying it as is, as seen, and we need to close on this date. Are you ready to move forward? Because I want to accept your offer. Yes, count me in. I want that deal. I'm going to flip it. It sounds great. I'm happy with this number. Let's move, right? So you have the house under contract for $150,000 because it's a $300,000 ARV. And you got an offer of $175,000 from this cash buyer. That's a $25,000 spread. You are going to take an assignment contract, and the assignment contract is going to basically say that you are signing the rights of this property at this address. The underlying contract price is $150,000. That's your contract with the seller. And you are going to assign it to the buyer for $25,000. He's going to have to put a $5,000 non-refundable EMD down. And if they do not put a $5,000 non-refundable EMD within the first 24 to 48 hours of signing this contract, you may not be working with a real cash buyer. It may be a wholesaler looking to daisy chain your contract. And what I do is if they can't perform in 48 hours, I cancel it with them and I go to the next buyer right away, and I make that perfectly clear. We're getting started with a buyer that you need to send your $5,000 EMD into my title company or my closing attorney within 48 hours. If we do not receive proof that it's done within 48 hours, we're going to cancel the contract and go to the next buyer, okay? Make that perfectly clear, because a lot of people will try to daisy chain your deal and tie it up and really mess with you. So that's what you do there. All right, so you're going to sign the rights to that contract, $5,000 EMD. He's going to have to bring $170,000 to the closing table because $5,000 is already there. You send it to him, he signs it. You already have the purchase and sales agreement when you sign it with the seller already to your title company and or your attorney, depending on what state. Some states are title companies, some like New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island and New Jersey are attorney states. Sorry. If you know what attorneys are like, you know what I mean. And then once you get the assignment contract signed, you send that to the attorney or the title company. Now they have all those contracts. You get the $5,000 EMD. And that's it. You're done. You're done. All you have to do is just make sure you communicate with the seller, making sure the title company attorney is getting everything that they need. And is there other ways you can provide value? Do they need help loading boxes? Do they need help, with moving companies, right? There's going to be all these scenarios you have to do behind the scenes to provide value. That job is not done until you close. Now, I will say getting a contract in wholesaling is an amazing feat. It's incredible. It's a huge accomplishment. And we celebrate them every day we get a new contract, still to this day in my businesses. But getting a contract is one major hurdle. Getting it to closing is a whole other ball game and another amazing hurdle. Because you have a contract doesn't mean you have a deal. You do not have a deal and have money until it closes. And a lot of things can happen from the contract signs till when it closes. Many deals fall apart out of this. Virtual wholesalers, sometimes 70 to 80% of their deals will fall apart during this time. Local wholesalers working in the local market could be anywhere from 40 to 50% of those deals fall through for various reasons. Sometimes you can't even control them because you can't just get good title, or maybe they just owe too much money on the property and there's not enough equity in it to make the numbers work because it needs more work than the property's worth and how much on the loan it is, right? So there's various scenarios that you just can't control. So you want to have a lot of deals because a lot of them aren't going to close. So getting a deal under contract, awesome, celebrate it, it's amazing, be pumped, be excited, but your work is not done until that property closes. That's when you earn your money. So once a property closes, you have made an incredible accomplishment. Some deals go easy, many of them don't. You deserve to make as much money as possible off of every single deal. If a cash buyer says you're just a wholesaler, you're not taking any risk, you don't have any skin in the game, you don't deserve to make $40,000 off that deal because I'm flipping and I'm only making $40,000 off that deal. Bullshit. You deserve to make as much money as possible because you have learned the skill set, right, of how to find these off-market deals, and you're providing tremendous value to these sellers along the way. You deserve as much money as you want, right? We can't tell a plumber after all his years of training and learning this skill set of being a plumber, I'm sorry, dude, you don't deserve 60 bucks an hour. You only deserve 20 bucks an hour because you're doing the plumbing in my house, but I'm the one that has to buy the house and fix it all, and I'm the one taking all the rest. It doesn't work that way. We're paying a plumber for his expertise. You as a wholesaler have an expertise, right? That's why we want to master the art of off-market acquisitions. All right, that's it, guys. That's it for this episode. Long video. I hope it provided some great insight of what it's like, the step-by-step process of getting your first wholesale deal. It's amazing. Once that deal closes, you get your check, you post it on social media, celebrate your success. If you can, get a testimonial or Google review from the seller at closing. Those will be great to provide certainty and credibility down the road for all your success. So I strongly suggest you do that. And now you have to go get another deal, right? Don't spend all your effort on this deal while stopping to look for your next deal. When it comes to wholesaling, you never ever stop looking for your next deal or deals. Regardless if you have 3 deals and it's a complete shitstorm and it's taken over your life, you need to keep the momentum of leads coming in, because if you put all your eggs in the basket of getting this deal closed, once it closes, you're gonna be like, oh man, I gotta start all over to get another deal, and that could take a while. So don't fall into that trap as many new wholesalers do. Also, if you guys want, if you message to us here and let me know, I will send you a free PDF. Here's something I can give for you for free. It's called How to Wholesale Your First Deal with Little to No Money Out of Pocket. It's a little ebook. Drop your email into the chat below with a comment, and we will send you that free of charge. And then this will give you a really detailed breakdown of how to wholesale your first deal in your local market with little to no money out of pocket. It's a great, great tool. And if that fits you, then leave a comment down below with the email. Other than that, guys, what's really helpful is subscribe, right? Do you feel like this video brought you value? Have you seen my other videos? Are they bringing you value? Well, then subscribe, because I got way more videos coming. My goal is to pour all my knowledge, my heart and soul and knowledge into you, so you can become a lifestyle investor like me that works on his own clock, takes vacations wherever he wants, can basically do whatever he wants. It's a blessing. I'm so honored, and I want to share that with as many people as I can. So please subscribe, like this video, help the algorithm, help me reach more people on YouTube. It's greatly appreciated. If you feel like I'm bringing value to you, please give me that value in return. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I respond to as many questions as I can. I always want to be open and honest and help as many people as I can. I hope you guys had a great week. Love this video. We'll talk to you soon. Remember, we're on to building a life of freedom, real estate investing freedom, REI freedom. See you guys.